This is Isaiah 54:16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. Giving all honor, glory, and praise unto our Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. The true name of the Heavenly Father in the ancient Paleo Hebrew tongue is Yahweh. Yah meaning He, Hawa to be, to exist. Ba'ashem in the name of His only begotten Son, our Lord and Savior, Yahushai. Yah meaning He, Yahushai, deliverer or Savior. Double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth, and peace and blessings to the elect of the nation of Israel, which consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native and Seminole Indians, as well as you Israelite foreigners scattered abroad. And, quick lesson concerning this film that's coming out next month. All right. Oppenheimer. Okay. A biopic of Julius Robert Oppenheimer. Okay. An American theoretical physicist and scientist, all right, who was largely responsible in the development of the atomic bomb for the United States, all right, which was a pivotal moment in history, okay? But concerning prophecy, that event, all right, this man, okay, his research and the development of the atomic bomb would lead into the nuclear arsenal of the United States, all right, which pursuing a prophecy, okay, you would eventually have the thermonuclear missile, all right, which would be used in this Third World War, okay, to lay the whole land desolate, which is America, all right. These other nations would use these hypersonic missiles, all right, these intercontinental ballistic missiles to lay America desolate, all right. So, I'm going to just kind of do a run through of this man, all right, grab a few other, articles. I'm not going to read through them, I'll post them in a link, I'll post links in the description, all right, but I want to deal with this man, Julius Robert Oppenheimer, okay, going back to Isaiah 54:16. Behold, I created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. And the smith, all right, if you dealt with the smith or a blacksmith back in the ancient world, okay, what was the profession of a blacksmith? They created weapons. They forged weaponry out of steel, out of iron, Well, in this sense, the Lord created the smith that bloweth coals in the fire, which is talking about these nuclear scientists which develop these nuclear weapons, okay? Which this man Julius Robert Oppenheimer Salakia was a German, all right? Which we believe through the Spirit, the Germans were the Temanites, all right? The brainiac of Esau Edom, okay? The brainiac of the Edomite race, all right? Which Teman in the scriptures was known for his wisdom, all right? The whole being able to split atoms, conduce nuclear fission and fusion, that knowledge was given to Esau from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, all right? Ultimately to bring forth the nuclear missile, okay, the weapons of his indignation, all right, the instrument for his work. Reading on, I've created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. Back then the smith would forge weapons from that furnace, blowing the coals, putting heat to the metal, that he was able to hammer it out, make the metal expand, to form it, into a weapon, okay? Which is much like the process of creating the missiles, man. That bringeth forth an instrument for his work. Talking about that nuclear missile. For whose work? For Yahweh Bashim Yahushai's work. Alright? And I've created the waster to destroy. Okay? So, real quick. Why would this man decide in 2023, as we're seeing tensions rise up between the nations, the topic of World War III is trending like it never has before, because this man knows what time it is, he knows that nuclear war is on the horizon, all right, which it is. We know this pursuant in prophecy, okay? The Lord is gathering the nations, man, to war, all right? Armageddon, the mountain of troops, So dealing with Julius Robert Oppenheimer, Salaki, his name is a tongue twister. It says in full, Julius Robert Oppenheimer, born April 22nd, 1904 in New York, in the U.S., died February 18th, 1967 in New Jersey. American theoretical physicist and science administrator, noted as director of the Los Alamos Laboratory that's in New Mexico. All right. During the development, it says 1943 through 1945, during the development of the atomic bomb, and as a director of the Institute for Advanced Study, Princeton, New Jersey, 1946, it's like 47 through 66. Let's go on. Early life and education, it says Oppenheimer was the son of a German immigrant. See? So this man was a Teemanite, all right? German, the son of a German immigrant, it says, who made his fortune by importing textiles in New York City. During his undergraduate studies at Harvard University, Oppenheimer excelled in Latin, Greek, physics, and chemistry, published poetry, and studied Eastern philosophy. After graduating in 1925, he sailed for England to do research at the Cavendish Laboratory at the University of Cambridge, which under the leadership of Lord Ernest Rutherford had an international reputation for its pioneering studies on atomic structure. All right. Let's see. Going on, it says the rise of Adolf Hitler in Germany stirred his first interest in politics. In 1936, he sided with the Republic during the Civil War in Spain, where he became acquainted with communist students. Although his father's death in 1937 left Oppenheimer a fortune that allowed him to subsidize anti-fascist organizations, the tragic suffering inflicted by Joseph Stalin on Russian scientists led him to withdraw his associations with the Communist Party. All right, but going on, because I only want to hit certain points, but at this time, during this whole, which he had a major part in what was called the Manhattan Project, all right, which the whole film, was based on the Manhattan Project, all right. You had other films in the past that were made concerning the project, but didn't really focus on J. Robert Oppenheimer himself, all right. And furthermore, they weren't too historically accurate, okay. But us brothers, we anticipate this film, because it's, again, it was a very pivotal point in history, all right, and concerning prophecy, all right. So it says, after the invasion of Poland by Nazi Germany in 1939, the physicist Albert Einstein, another Teemanite, Leo Szilard, and Eugene Wagner warned the U.S. government of the danger threatening all of humanity if the Nazis should be the first to make a nuclear bomb. Oppenheimer then began a secret process for the separation of uranium-235 from natural uranium and to determine the critical mass of uranium required to make such a bomb. In August 1942, the U.S. Army was given the responsibility of organizing the efforts of British and U.S. physicists to seek a way to harness nuclear energy for military purposes, an effort that became known as the Manhattan Project. It says Oppenheimer was instructed to establish and administer a laboratory to carry out this assignment. In 1943, he chose the plateau of Los Alamos near Santa Fe, Mexico. Okay. You know, and beforehand, you had what was called Operation Paperclip. Let me see. Well, I believe it was around the same time frame. Okay. But basically what the U.S. was doing was they were taking German rocket scientists, from Germany and bringing them to America for military purposes to develop, weaponry. Okay. It says Project Paperclip, also called Operation Paperclip, U.S. government program that sponsored the post-World War II immigration of German and Austrian scientists and technicians to the United States in order to exploit their knowledge for military and industrial purposes. Project Paperclip itself lasted less than 2 years, but similar programs continued until 1962. Approximately 1,500 German and Austrian professionals and their families were relocated to the United States, the majority of them going on to become U.S. citizens. All of these German and Austrian scientists and technicians, regardless of the program into which they were recruited, are commonly said to have been a part of Project Paperclip. All right, and you had, I forget his name, but one of those scientists actually went on to become one of the heads of NASA. All right. It says Project Paperclip was one of many ways in which Allied forces extracted intellectual reparations after the conquest of Germany. Gaining control of the human sources of advanced technical knowledge was a logical Allied priority in the final year of the war, as it became clear that the defeat of Germany was imminent and would predate the defeat of Japan. All right. Which, brothers might be familiar with the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which were 2 bombs, Little Boy and Fat Man, that they dropped on Japan. Okay. And that's where you have in the book of Revelation where it talks about, he had basically how he had power. He made fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. All right. Because the nations, they saw that and they feared this man for his technology and his weaponry, man. All right. Because it was the first use of such at the time, and that weapon wasn't in anyone's hands. All right. But you fast forward to today's time, and all these nations have they have the capability to launch nuclear weapons. All right. And they also, were wondering at this man as the Most High. Okay. Those great wonders. All right. So it says, with this situation in mind, the team of German and Austrian scientists and engineers who had developed the highly advanced V2 rocket system abandoned their chief research complex and deliberately put themselves in the path of approaching Western Allied forces. After being captured on May 2nd, 1945, the entire team was transported to the United States as part of Project Overcast and given facilities to continue their research, which was considered vital to the U.S. national interest, right? Because, like they said, they wanted to exploit their knowledge to be able to develop advanced weaponry, okay? Which the V2 rocket itself, that was said to be the first ballistic missile, so to speak, all right? Because they utilize the same technology, all right? You have hypersonic missiles, you have ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, all right? All of which can be loaded with nuclear payloads. Okay. You have intercontinental ballistic missiles that can travel from one end of heaven unto the other, like it tells you in the book of Isaiah. All right. You know what? Matter of fact, let me just get that. This is Isaiah 13:5. They come from a far country, even from the end of heaven, even the Lord and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. All right. As we established, okay, those missiles, all right, which are going to be launched from these other nations, upon America. Even the nations that are allied with America are going to turn on America, man. All right. You have Russia, okay, which during this same period of time, the Russians also, post World War II, were gathering intelligence from these Temanites, man, for their own nuclear weapons programs. All right. You have something called, let me see. So I got something right here that goes into espionage in the Manhattan Project. And to the right, you see E.J. Fuchs. All right. It's like it. K.E.J. Fuchs, Klaus Fuchs. And this man was he was a Temanite, but he was a spy within the Manhattan Project itself, that was relaying that information about, little boy and fat man, this nuclear, this atomic bomb. He was relaying that information back to the Soviet Union, all right, which will lead to them being able to develop their own nuclear weapons, all right. And also, you had Russians taking some of those V2 rocket scientists and exploiting their knowledge as well. But again, I'm gonna link these in the description. I'm not gonna go too much into them, for the sake of time. I didn't want to drag this out. It was a long lesson, but going back, let me see. Verse 6, it says, and the weapons of his indignation, meaning righteous anger, to destroy the whole land, which is America. America, at the end, the result of this third World War, all right, this third World War, you're gonna have Russia, and its allies. Ezekiel 38 goes into Persia, Ethiopia, Iran. It's like, Iran is Persia, but you have Ethiopia, Libya, a multitude of nations that are gonna side with Russia. Even some of the allies of the U.S., which even now, you have Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary. You've got, he's basically saying that Europe needs NATO without America, all right? Which is where you have in Revelation 17, where it talks about the 10 horns which thou sawest, these shall hate the whore, all right? The whore being America, man, okay? The great whore, all right, that sitteth upon many waters, okay? Those nations are going to turn on America, man, and side with Russia and these other nations during this Third World War, which even now you see the anti-American sentiment among some of the fellow members of the EU, NATO. You got France talking about moving away from America, building a strategic autonomy away from America. I believe you had the Turkish president, if I'm not mistaken, but he's basically on the same thing, saying how they're saying how America is moving rather as an enemy, But verse 6, how ye For the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. And ultimately, the destruction that's coming, all right, that's being prepared by Yahweh B'Shem El Shai, is ultimately to take the Edomites out of rulership, man. Okay? All right? The day of the Lord is at hand. So, let me see. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Because I spoke on this. Okay, that was the Normos. You know, that was a Russian operation, you know, which they were using spies to gather intelligence to relay that information, you know, back to the Soviet Union on how to build these nuclear weapons. You know, eventually it lead to them building a replica, pretty much, of the Fat Man and the atomic bomb. All right, and eventually, you know, kickstarting their nuclear weapons program and leading into the development of their own hypersonic missiles. You know, Klaus Emil Julius Fuchs, all right, he was said to be, you know, one of the most important individuals within that whole espionage, you know, project. All right, German theoretical physicist and atomic spy who supplied information from the American, British, and Canadian Manhattan Project to the Soviet Union during and shortly after World War II. All right. So, let me see. There's another one, though. I believe it was called Operation Viking. Operation Viking, Russian Operatio Sovietkum, Soviet. It's like a secret Soviet operation under which more than 2,500 former Nazi German specialists, engineers, and technicians who worked on specialist areas from companies and institutions relevant to military and economic policy in the Soviet occupation zone of Germany, right? Let's see. It says, let me see. As well as 4,000 more family members, totaling more than 6,000 people, were transported from former Nazi Germany as war reparations in the Soviet Union. It took place in the early morning hours of October 22, 1946, when MVD, previously NKVD, and Soviet Army units, under the direction of Soviet military administration in Germany, headed by Ivan Serov. Much related equipment was also moved, the aim being to literally transplant research and production research centers such as the relocated V2 rocket center of Mittelwerk from Germany to the Soviet Union, and to collect as much material as possible from test centers such as the Luftwaffe's Central Military Aviation Test Center at, all right, you know, you better see it. I can't read that. But basically, you know, they were trying to get all that research equipment over to Russia from Germany. But a lot of it they had to leave behind, you know, because they had so many, you know, like it was saying, they had to transport family members as well as those scientists, you know, on trains, you know, and a lot of that equipment they couldn't really fit, you know, so they threw it off, you know. I read it somewhere else, you know, but Lord willing, you know, I'll probably be able to link that as well. This is the codename Osoviakim, is an acronym of the large Soviet organization Osoviakim, which recruited civilians for the Red Army during World War II. Which was mistakenly used for the first time on October 23rd, 1946. All right, let me just trying to see if there's, you know, but that's pretty much the point. No, but pretty much the Russians were doing the same. The Russians were conducting operations, similar to the Manhattan Project, what the U.S. was doing, okay? And they were using spies to gather intelligence. All right. So let me see. Get this. Revelation 6 and 4. Revelation 6 and 4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given unto him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. All right. And that horse, it says, and there went out another horse that was red. All right. That represents Esau, Edom, and his military might. Okay. And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. Which they, how they did that, they were able to take lands and resources from different nations, especially the nation of Israel, okay? Which is why the scriptures call him the thief, the vagabond, all right, the fugitive, And there was given unto him a great sword, which was the blessing wherewith Isaac blessed him, okay, and which was a literal sword, but through his technological advances, you have the ultimate sword, the ICBM missile, that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. All right, so now we can go to Genesis 25 and 30. And Esau said unto Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. Edom, Adawam, meaning red, okay? Because like it tells you in, previously, Jacob and Esau were born. Esau was red all over like a hairy garment. That's actually a curse. He's leprous, all right, which his skin is, it's translucent, his blood shows forth through his skin, all right, and that's the same curse that was put upon Cain, when you get into Genesis, the previous chapters, all right, which, that same spirit that was on Cain is in these Edomites, man. All right, they're the wicked, okay? Power was given, Salaki, back in, this is, let me see, going to the 27th chapter, to the point, because I want to touch on that blessing, the sword, all right? So it says Revelation 27 and 30. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from his presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting, And when you get into the story, when you get into the history, Jacob supplanted Esau for his blessing. So like for his birthright and his blessing, okay? Going on, it says, and he had also made savory meat and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. And Esau heard the words of his father. He cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, thy brother came with subtlety and had taken away thy blessing. All right. And he said, is not he rightly named Jacob, For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he had taken away my blessing. And he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? All right, so I'm kind of skip forward, the point really. Verse 38, Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father, bless me, even me also, on my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of the heaven from above. All right. So, as it tells you in Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. That's who's in rule right now. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right. The self-proclaimed white man. Okay. Which really is red. All right. They're in the seat of rule right now. That's why they have the best of everything. Esau, the earth is into the hands of the wicked. How did he get it? By his sword. All right. Which I'm gonna get a few points on that. What's going on? And by that sword shalt thou live. The point. All right. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Which that happened. Okay. During the time. Under Salaki, one of the kings of Judah. No, I forget what happened, but Salaki, I forget which, but they broke away. But the key point being the sword. All right, that's his blessing, which also goes into his technological advancements. Okay, which back then a literal sword, but now you have guns. All right. And like I said, the ultimate sword, those thermonuclear missiles. All right. Habakkuk 2:5 says, also because he transgressed by wine. Transgression is going against the law. It's like, also because he transgressed by wine, that wine represents his philosophies, his ideologies, okay? Which includes, his religion, his foreign policies, democracy, LGBTQ, witchcraft, and he's pushed these ideologies upon the world, all right? He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. And he doesn't. Case in point, there's a U.S. embassy set up all throughout the world, on every continent, damn near. Esau is all over the world. Okay. Like we said, Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He goes on to say he covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, who and where is he? She had iconoclasm, the covering of the icons, the images of Israelites, which goes into blasphemy, because he whitewashed those images, okay, during the Renaissance period. All right. You had Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci. You had the artists that were influenced by da Vinci that painted those images. They painted themselves as the Most High, His Son, the angels, the Israelites. Okay? That was part of that great deception. It says, who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death. Okay? They enlarge the desire as hell by pretty much spoiling, okay, and deceiving, taking lands, resources, in some cases they did it, straight up, blatantly. But in other cases, underhandedly, covertly, okay? Which, he took, when he came over here to the Americas, you had the Northern Kingdom up here in Northern America, all right? Even Canada, you had the tribes of Gad, Reuben, Issachar, What did this devil do when he came? Rape, rob, pillage, murdered. He took this land by force, by the sword, his blessing, okay? And by deception, It says, and matter of fact, I was thinking upon, the elder brother, the head over my camp, he sent a video to the group chat, which was going into a whole bunch of covert operations with the U.S. Pretty much this devil Esau, man, he sent in his CIA, to pretty much uproot whole governments, man. All right. To overthrow governments. Okay. Coup d'etat, what they call it. Basically, whoever they deemed opposition, who opposed pretty much their way, they would kill them and set up another leader in their place that would serve the interests of their own. All right. So that's another way, also because he transgressed by wine, he's a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell and as death. Right? Esau is as death. Okay? Which is why, under this man's rule, the whole earth is out of course. The very air we breathe is toxic, man. He puts all kinds of chemicals and laces it in the air. You got chemtrails, everything here is defiled, man. Everything he touches turns to shit, literally, because he's our enemy, man. He's adverse to the ways of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, which is why he must be taken out of rule. All right. The last enemy that shall be conquered is death once Yahushai returns, man. Okay? He's going to subdue this man in the other nations, all right? And cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. And this is why he's trying to make everything go digital, it's not enough for this man that he has pretty much control over the whole world. He wants to control people's minds too. He's coming out with these brain computer interfaces, Neuralink. Elon Musk coming out with Neuralink, BlackRock Neurotech, the neural point array, and you can get a glimpse of what he's doing with these experiments that he conducts on rats, gerbils, cockroaches, pigeons, birds. This nigga puts fucking brain chips in these birds, man, and he's, these animals, and he's controlling. He's able to control them. And they showed you that, when Neuralink had that, they were showcasing their tech. They had the monkey playing ping pong with his brain, man. With that, via that brain chip. Which he's going to be able to deceive people into thinking, it's all good. Oh, look, you could hands-free device, man. Control your phone with your mind, those lying wonders, man. Telling people he could heal them of paralysis, of blindness, of deafness, speech, Why? Because he's trying to exalt himself as he's trying to exalt himself as the Most High, man. He's got a God complex, you know. Yahweh Shai did all those things when he was on the earth, and it wasn't by this carnal device, you know. This devil, man, he pretty much wants to fully implement his new world order, which entails putting his technology inside of people, you know, and controlling them. Which you see, you know, we see it. We see how this devil is like, you know, he's pushing this thing, man. The more and more you see these tech startup companies, you know, springing up with the brain computer interfaces. They got something called a brain, if I'm not mistaken, it's like brain spinal interface, you know. But also the implantable microchip, man, in the hand. For what? Digital ID, payment, cashless payments, you know. That's where you have Revelation 13, man. The MOTB, okay, which he's gonna set up, you know, as deliverance. All right. But going into let me see, Micah 2:2, touching on the point that was made earlier, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress the man in his house, even the man in his heritage. And that's plain, you know what I'm saying? That links back up with the scripture in Habakkuk, you know. But that, you know, ties into how he's been able to take peace from the earth, you know. He's been able to go forth, you know, by the force of the sword, his blessing, all right, and deceiving, you know. Revelation 27, when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, all right, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. All right, which is, you know, pretty much the point we're at now, okay? When 1,000 years are expired, which, you know, it says when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. It's dealing with the Renaissance period, all right? You know, Esau rose up out of the bottomless pit, which is Europe, okay? You know, the pagan Roman Empire fell, you know. At the latter end of Edomite rule, I think after 90 AD, you know, it was the mission. You had Israelites starting to come into power, you know. You know, they were ruling over the Roman Empire onto the Middle Ages, okay, the Dark Ages, okay, and that ties in with that deadly wound, all right. You know, the Edomites at that time were through. They were in the caves. They were in that Woodwells caveman, you know, beastly state. You know, the seal was set upon Esau to where he wasn't able to forward his witchcraft and deception. All right, until that 1,000 years were expired. Okay, from the Middle Ages to the Renaissance period. You know, and fast forward, you had the Treaty of Rome, the European Economic Community. You know, now you have America, the European Union, NATO, the revival of the Roman Empire. Okay, that deadly wound being healed. You shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. You know, which, Esau had risen from that low state, being that he came out of Europe. And what did he do? He went around the world spreading deception. It's like we said, they iconoclasm. They took the images, the icons and images of Jake, the Israelites, because Jake was ruling over Europe, but during the Renaissance period, they started to paint over those images with their likenesses. All right. And that was part of that, that was part of that deception, He has this world system spreading his madness, man. Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. Gog and Magog is, Russia, because they inhabit those lands that aforetime belonged to Japheth, And the Most High is he's stirring that USSR spirit in Russia to come against this place with an assembly of nations, It's where you have Ezekiel 38, like I mentioned earlier. All right. The Most High is gathering them to battle. Okay. And like we said, the nations that were in league with America are going to turn on America. Why? Because, like it tells you, the nations have drunk of that wine, the wine of the wrath of her fornication, the philosophies, so on and so forth. And they're mad, They've woken up to the whoredoms of this great horde, man. The witchcrafts. All right. So when this third world war happens, they're eventually going to side with Russia and launch their nukes on this place. All right. So that pretty much, in essence, the whole point of the lesson, the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, the Lord, that was prophecy. All right. It says, let's see, get this and close out. 2:39. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And war is being prepared, which is why tensions are at an all-time high between the nations, man. Okay? America, Russia, you got North Korea, China, all right? And all these nations, they have pretty much the capabilities to launch nuclear weapons. The nuclear missile is no longer in the hands of just a few. All right. Now all these nations have nuclear missiles, man. All right. And they're going to be used against this place to lay this place desolate. Verse 10, beat your plowshares and the swords and your pruning hooks and the spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Right? Because, they're looking at America. They're pretty much able to taunt on America. Because they're seeing America as weak. But now these nations, man, they have nuclear capabilities. All right. So yeah, man, I'ma just end it off there. That was the smith that blows the coals in the fire. That's what I'm titled this lesson. hopefully it's been edifying. Till the next one, I say shalom. Call all Yahweh Bashim Shai Bashim Kakdash. Shalom.